willing, after that. So we're going to talk about Pesach, since we're not going to have class again before that. So next week and the 2 weeks after. So there's a lot of ideas to talk about Pesach. So we're going to try to touch upon a few. So the first thing I'd like to talk about is matzah. We know that it's a very big mitzvah to eat matzah. And the simple reason why we eat matzah is for two things. Firstly, Hashem, let me just see if I can mute everybody. Okay, so the idea is that we eat matzah because when the Jews were leaving Egypt, before they left, Hashem commanded them. He said, you have a mitzvah. You have to bring a sacrifice. And it was called the Karban Pesach, a Pesach offering. They had to bring a sheep. A sheep was one of the idols of the Egyptians. They idolized the Nile River, and they also had the sheep as the idol. So they had to take the sheep and use that as a sacrifice to Hashem, which was basically showing that they believe in Hashem as opposed to believing in the Egyptians. And together with that, they were supposed to eat that right before they left Egypt. They were supposed to also have matzah with it. Now, in addition to that, the Jewish people were leaving Mitzrayim. And when they were leaving Egypt, they were in a big rush because God said to them, okay, quick. He wanted that the Jewish people would leave right away. And he wanted it to be smack in the middle that everyone would see. And nobody could deny and say, oh, it just happened to be, but no, everyone's going to see, everyone's going to know that Hashem did this. Anyway, so the point is that the Jews had to leave in a rush. And since they had to leave in a rush, they took their bread, it says on their backs, and it didn't have time to rise. And therefore it was like matzah that did not rise. So we have this mitzvah to eat matzah. Now eating matzah, we can say, okay, it's to commemorate sacrifice, the Jews leaving in a rush, and it helps us remember the tremendous miracle that God did for us, and that's why we do it, and that's all true. But there is also great benefit to eating the matzah. When we eat the matzah, it says that on the first night, it gives us the gift of emunah, which is belief. So that is a tremendous gift that when we eat this matzah, it strengthens us and it gives us more belief in Hashem. Now, why is belief in Hashem so important? Because when you really believe that Hashem is running the world and that everything comes from Hashem, and Hashem could do anything, you're relaxed. You sit back. When everything's in my control, I'm anxious, I'm nervous, I don't know, did I do enough, did I not, what could I do? But when I take a step back, and of course this doesn't mean that I'm not supposed to work within nature, I have to. But if I know I'm putting in what I can, and I go to work and I put in a hard day of work, or, I'm eating healthy foods, I'm exercising, I'm following what the doctor says, I'm doing all of that, then I could sit back, relax, because I know God decides in the end of the day. So as long as I did my part, I'm relaxed, I'm good. So emunah, this belief, is tremendous because it gives me what we call menuchas hanefesh, peace of the soul. I'm able to really, and it actually helps me not get angry. Why does it help me not get angry? Because why am I angry? I'm angry because I feel like I don't deserve this. Why is this happening to me? Whether I'm angry that someone did something to me, how dare this person take advantage of me? How dare this, the person in the grocery store treat me like this? When I believe everything's from Hashem, and Hashem is just sending me some sort of message because he wants me to grow from this, then guess what? I am relaxed. I am able to just feel I don't have that pressure on me. I'm able to say, like, you know what? Let me learn from this experience, and I'm not angry. So it really, really, really helps us when we have this faith in Hashem. It brings us to unlimited places because I'm limited and there's only so much I can do. But when I have faith in Hashem, I'm not limited to me and my restrictions and my limitations. I could attach myself to something bigger. So the doctor says, there's no hope, God forbid. Or the doctor says, well, only in this instance will it work. But guess what? I believe in Hashem, and Hashem could do way more than the doctor's telling me. So therefore, I don't have to worry about that. So emunah is a gift. It is a tool, and it is a gift. When we have faith, and of course, that's the basis of everything we do. If we don't believe in Hashem, then what is it? In other words, let's just say a random person on the street comes and says, on Wednesday, I want you to stop doing what you're doing and make this a day of dedication to me. I'm going to look at him. I probably won't even answer. And I'm going to continue walking. Goodbye. What do I care what he has to say? If I don't believe in him, then I am not caring about what he's saying. So the foundation of all the mitzvahs, of all the commandments, is belief. Because first I have to believe in Hashem, and I have to establish that I believe in him, that he really is my God. And then I want to listen to his mitzvahs. I want to listen to his commandments, and I want to connect to Hashem. So this really is the basis of everything that we have, is this belief. So by eating a matzah on the first night, we are given this tool and this gift of emunah. It sustains us. We eat a physical food that gives us a spiritual benefit, that we are now able to have this faith. On the second night, we are granted health. So we eat this food, and it actually gives us health. So it's very important. Like if people feel like maybe they're struggling with something in health, you eat matzah the second night, and that helps us. We really believe this. Now it's interesting that the order comes faith and then health. And it says that if faith comes first, and you really believe, then you have the refuah, the healing, even before, you don't even need to get sick. In other words, if I believe that God could help me, and if I believe that God is the all-powerful and he could do anything, then it's like preventative. It's like a holistic approach. It's not that I get sick and then I need to take the medicine, but when I have the belief first in Hashem that he could do anything, then I don't even need to get sick. I'm just healthy. So that is the order that we like it to be in. We like it to be that first we like it to be that first we have our faith, which is our foundation. And then when that is our foundation and we believe in Hashem, we allow Hashem to give us all the blessings. This is actually connected to what we learned on Purim. When we spoke about Purim, and we said that their sin was that they gave so much importance to King Achashverosh. And they dismissed Hashem, and they said, oh, we don't need Hashem. And they didn't really believe so much in Hashem. Then what happened as a result of that? They pushed God away and Hashem wasn't protecting them. But when we have faith and we bring Hashem in, then he's able to give us that good health. He's able to protect us. So that's why the order comes on the first night. The matzah gives us faith. And on this, if we have that faith, it's a preventative. And then we have health on the second night. But if we put health first and we just worry about our health, and then we come to our faith, then it could be a different type of health where it's like, I need to have a medicine to heal me as opposed to not getting sick at all. So that's the first thing that I wanted to discuss. The next thing I want to discuss is, what do we celebrate on Passover? What do we celebrate on Pesach? On Pesach, we celebrate going out of Egypt. Tremendous, tremendous miracle. It says that nobody was able to escape. Moses Moshe did escape, but it was like unheard of. It was like such a miracle, even that Moshe escaped. So it was such a miracle that Hashem allowed the Jewish people to escape from Egypt. And what happens? They escape and they go to receive the Torah. Hashem says, you're going to leave and you're going to leave the Torah. And we learned about the different, because it happens to coincide with what we're reading in the Torah on Shabbos every week. And we were discussing this idea of, all the miracles, the 10 plagues that happened, and how they left. But they were leaving Egypt. That's what we're celebrating on Pesach. The Jews left Egypt, and we want to remember it, and we want to teach it to our children, that we should remember that Hashem took us out of Egypt. And Hashem will also help us in the future, and he's the all-powerful, and if he did those miracles then, he could do those miracles now too. And he's going to do those miracles. It compares the miracles of leaving Egypt to when Mashiach is going to come. And we know that Mashiach is going to come very soon. We see so many different signs happening in the world now. And the Lubavitcher Rebbe actually gave prophecy. And he said in 1991 that Mashiach's coming is imminent, that it's going to be very soon. And he gave us different signs. He said the fact that communism fell and it was a bloodless revolution, which was totally, the Lubavitcher Rebbe actually predicted that would happen in 1985. And furthermore, he actually initiated a building campaign to build buildings in Israel to prepare for all the Russian Jews that are going to emigrate. And they're going to immigrate to Israel. And where are they going to live? They need a place. So it's not just that he predicted it, but he actually did something about it in 1987. And then in 1989, through till 1991, that was the process of the Iron Curtain falling, of communism falling. And it actually fell in 1991. And the Rebbe explained, not only did he prophesize and say this was going to happen and predict it, even though it was completely going against the day that he told someone that it's going to fall in a few years, that very same day on the New York Times, the New York Post, it had said that communism is going to become stronger and harsher. So he was completely going against the tide of the world. And it fell, and he said, this is a sign of Mashiach, of religious freedom. That's what we're going to have when Mashiach comes, of no oppression. And when the Gulf War happened around a similar time, the Rebbe also predicted that it's going to be safe and people aren't going to die. And there's tremendous, tremendous miracles that happened. And only one person died as a result of the Gulf War. And only one person, died. And there were 39 Scud missiles. Each Scud missile could destroy hundreds, thousands of people. And not only that, the Scud missiles, they did destroy. They destroyed over 4,000 buildings, but yet only one person died. It says 230 people were injured, but only one person had a serious injury. Complete miracles. But we could sit back, just like they did in Egypt, and we could say, like people said about the plagues, it's not really a miracle, it's coincidence. Things happen, you never know. but we know it's miracles. And so Hashem promised us, he said, just like you went out of Egypt, why do I want you to retell the story? I want you to educate the children, and I want you to have hope. And just like I showed you miracles by leaving Egypt, I'm going to show you miracles with the future redemption. And we're already starting to see these miracles. So, and soon we'll see even more miracles, and Mashiach will actually come in reality, where we won't be, in a world of suffering anymore. So every year we commemorate this and we educate our children with this. But I want to just zone in for a few minutes on the Hebrew way of saying exodus from Egypt. So the Hebrew words of saying exodus from Egypt are Yitzias, leaving, exiting, Mitzrayim. And the word Egypt is Mitzrayim. And Mitzrayim also means boundaries. Mitzrayim is boundaries. And so when we celebrate Pesach, we are not only celebrating leaving Egypt thousands of years ago, we are also celebrating the fact that we have the power. Pesach gives us the energy and the power to leave our boundaries. Now, everyone's boundaries are different. My boundaries might be different than your boundaries. Some people's boundaries, I feel limited. I feel like I just can't go out and be kind to that person. Another person, my boundaries are, I just feel like I can't give that class. I want to, but I'm just so shy. Let me break out of that boundary. I feel like I can't give charity. I don't have anything. I'm going to go out of that boundary. I'm going to find a way to make an extra $5 and give $5. My boundaries, I feel like I'm just so always center stage. I'm always talking. I'm always telling. I'm going to give someone else a chance. I'm going to go out of my boundaries. I feel like I can't pray. I don't have time to pray. I'm going to carve out 15 minutes a day to connect to Hashem and to pray. 5 minutes a day for one person. 1 minute a day. I pray every day, but I feel like I'm limited. I only have 20 minutes. That's it. You know what? I'm going to do 25 minutes. Or I could pray, but you know what? I can't get deep into my concentration. That's a limitation. Well, I'm going to break out of that boundary, and I'm going to now not only pray, but I'm going to actually think about the words that I'm saying. Everybody has a different boundary, a different limitation. It could be in my character traits. It could be the things I do. And Pesach gives us that idea. And we actually remember, we're supposed to remember it every day. So we're supposed to remember and give ourselves the power to go out of our boundaries every day. So we're nearing Rosh Chodesh. Tomorrow is the first of the month of Nisan. That's what we're talking about. Pesach, because Nisan is if you take the root word, it's miracles. This is the month of miracles. What's a miracle? A miracle is when I break through nature. So particularly in the month of Nisan, it is easier for me to tap into, even though every day we have the ability to take this message from Pesach and this power, because remember, the going out of Egypt every day. When on Pesach, it's stronger. And in the whole month of Nisan that we're going to be starting tonight at nightfall, it's called miracle. Nace. And that is the idea that I could rise above my boundaries. I have extra power in the month of Nisan to do that. I have limitations. I think I can't do it. I can't do 3 things now. There's no way I'm going to be able to do X, Y, and Z. I'm limited. But then I figure it out. I say, you know what? I'm going to rearrange. You know what? I'm going to be fully present in each of the 3 things I need to do. And therefore, I'll go faster. I'm going to be able to accomplish them all. Different ways, different tactics, but we need to know that we have that power, that we're never limited by our body. We always could rise higher. And in the month of Nisan, this is stronger because Nisan is from the root word of miracle. And miracle means going beyond my nature. That's what miracle is. Miracle means going above nature. So I can make those miracles for myself. I could go beyond my nature. And I could celebrate my own Yitzias Mitzrayim, my own leaving of boundaries. And it's interesting because the word nace also means like a banner to raise, to rise above. And I feel like when we rise above, and also is the idea of nisayon, a challenge, a test. But when we have those tests and we rise above in those tests, that's when we're going out of our limitations and we act like a miracle, and I'm my own miracle. We don't have to look everywhere for like miracles. We can make our own miracles and our own exodus from Egypt inside ourselves. And when we do those personal little redemptions of me leaving my Egypt, my limitations, that brings about, that's a personal redemption. It brings about the ultimate redemption for the whole world. And that helps bring Mashiach closer. Because what am I doing when I go to my boundaries? I'm connecting to my neshama. I'm connecting to saying, I'm not limited by my body. My body thinks I could be, I don't know how to be outgoing. My body thinks I don't have enough time for this, but my neshama, deep down, I know I have a piece of Hashem in me. And that will give me the strength to rise above. So it's the same thing. That what is Geula, what is redemption for the whole world? My body, all the physical things in this world seem to be so real and are putting limitations. But when Mashiach comes, what is it going to be? We're going to just have Hashem fully revealed. So when I fully reveal Hashem inside of me, that's a personal redemption. I'm able to go beyond my boundaries. So by me fully revealing Hashem inside of me, that is bringing about the revelation of Hashem. I reveal more God in this world. And that's what Mashiach is, when Hashem is fully revealed in this world. So Pesach is all about connecting to my personal redemption and the ultimate redemption, which, God willing, will be before Pesach comes, before the Seder, so we can all celebrate in Jerusalem together. And we won't have to do all the cleaning and all the nitty-gritties. We could just enjoy. But it's so important when we're going out of our limitations to do it with simcha, with happiness. When we really think about it, and we think about like, I'm just connecting with my soul. This is the main thing. I once read an article and someone was saying, like, I feel so torn. I have a 3-year-old that wants this and I have a teenager that wants that. But then you could view it as a different way. Like, I'm so powerful. I'm the mother of a 3-year-old. I'm the mother of a teenager. My powers are so unlimited. And when you tap into, I have unlimited powers, you're able to actually express them and reach much higher heights. So what do we do at the Seder? We tell the story of Pesach. We read the Haggadah, and there's so many interesting different points. And the main idea is the Hikada Televincha, to tell it over to your children, to educate your children, because what happened? King Parai, he wanted to destroy the Jewish children. He wanted to throw those boys in the Nile River, as we spoke in an earlier class. He wanted to let the girls live, but that they should be assimilated. They should be getting an education of an Egyptian. He wanted to wipe us out. He wanted to take away Jewish education. And so what do? We remember and we educate our children with the proper Jewish education. And we say, remember that Hashem took us out. We have to have faith that he's going to take us out again. We have to believe that there's a Torah, that there's a Hashem. And it's a big focus on Jewish education, because really, that's what keeps the Jews going. When Hashem gave the Torah to the Jewish people, he wanted a guarantor. I'm giving you this gift. Who's going to guarantee that you're going to keep it? And they brought the heavens. Who's going to be the witness? Who's going to be the guarantor? Brought the heavens, no good. They brought the earth, no good. What did Hashem say yes to? The children. Because if we don't educate our children, it stops. What's the most important ingredient in Judaism? Everyone feel free to unmute yourself and tell me what you think the most important ingredient in Judaism is. I have a very shy crowd today. Anybody? Give you some choices. Torah. Is the Torah the most important ingredient? Is Israel? Many people vote many different things. But really, the most important ingredient is a Jew. If there are no Jews to keep the Torah, what's the Torah worth? If there's no Jews to live in Israel, what's Israel? So educating our children and making sure we still have Jews in every generation, that is key to Judaism. So I want to tell you about a very interesting part of the Haggadah. And that is the Manishtana. And everybody's very familiar about the 4 questions and the 4 questions that are asked. And the order, different people have different orders, but the order that we personally do it in, the Chabad or custom, is we first talk about dipping. Why do we dip the maror and the chareses and the karpas in salt water? And then we talk about the matzah. We ask a question on the matzah. And then we ask a question on the maror, the bitter herbs. And then we ask a question on leaning. So the question's asked, why do we go in this order? Why do we do an order of importance? First, we talk about the matzah. That's an obligation from the Torah. Then we could talk about the maror, the bitter herbs, which is an obligation from the rabbis. Then we could talk about leaning, which is the theme of Pesach, of freedom. And then we could do the custom of dipping. It's just a custom. Or we could do it in the order that the child sees. And the order that the child sees would be leaning first, and then matzah, then the bitter herbs, and then dipping. So why is dipping first? That's our question. Dipping is just a minhag. It's just a custom. And the answer is that the Seder is all about educating children. The 4 questions are all about the education of the child. When you educate children, you might think, it's really hard to educate children. I've got to pick my battles. I've got to prioritize. So how am I going to prioritize? what am I going to do? I'll drop the customs. If I'm having trouble, my kid's not so, I'll do what's from the Torah. I'll do what's from the rabbis, what's, Jewish law. And when it comes to the customs, I'll let go of them. But this is the lesson. When you're educating children, you have to keep the customs. They got to be top, front, center. Why? Imagine Hanukkah. The mitzvah is to light the menorah. Imagine if you have no latkes, you have no donuts, you have no songs. Well, kids want to continue it. Take every holiday, take Purim. You just hear the Megillah. There's no hamantashen. There's no dressing up. That's what the kids are excited about. The hamantashen, the dressing up. So we say that the goal of educating children is that they should have a warmth and an excitement and that they'll want to do it forever, their entire life. So it seems like, you could just drop the customs, but customs are so important. Customs is what gives the flavor, the warmth, the fire. You have all your favorite ingredients in your soup. And 1 week you cannot have this ingredient, and the next week you have not that ingredient, and the soup might not be as good because it's missing that garlic. But if you have every ingredient you love in it, but you don't turn on the fire, it's not going to be a soup. What's it worth? So the minhag, the custom, is what brings the fire, the excitement, the passion, the warmth. And that's really what keeps it alive. So that's super important. I want to talk about another part of the Haggadah, and we'll end with this. Time is running out. But there's a very famous part of the Gemara, of the Haggadah, that talks about, there were a bunch of very great rabbis, the greatest rabbis, and they were celebrating Pesach, and they were doing their Seder. And in their Seder, what happened? They were talking about the Haggadah. They were getting really, really deep. They were talking about about leaving Egypt. And these teachers were sitting with their students. And they were so involved and so into it that their students said to them, rabbis, Higia Zaman Krishma, the time for reciting the Shema, the morning prayer, has arrived. You could only do the Seder at night. The night is over. It is morning. You have to pray already. And then they said, okay, and they started to pray. So the question is asked, what does that mean? We know that telling the story of Mitzrayim, story in Hebrew has the same root word as sapir, which is a which is sapphire stone, which gives off light. And so when you tell a story, you're illuminating. And so they were illuminating their souls. And when they were telling the story, they were illuminating their souls. And so how could it be that the rabbis' souls weren't illuminated, but the students, they felt it was morning. They saw the light. Like, we're already illuminated. We're already lit up. We're on this high spiritual level that we're ready to pray in the morning. They felt it was morning. They were spiritually in tune with that. So how come the great rabbis weren't in tune? It's so weird. Isn't that interesting? Why would the rabbis not be in tune with that? Aren't the rabbis the teachers on a higher level than the students? And so the answer is that, let's just say you have, see this water bottle? This is, oh, sorry, when I have it on this fuzzy background, let me see. So you see that water bottle? Small. Now you see this water bottle? Big, right? So if I have to hold it near my face so it doesn't get, okay. So if I have a small and a big, and I want to fill them both up, if I take the same amount of water, right, to fill this up, this is going to take, let's just say this is 2 cups. Now, if I take that same amount of water, 2 cups, and I put it in this big jug of water, it's only going to come to about here. So that's what happened. They were saying the story of Mitzrayim. They were illuminating their souls, but the capacity of the student was small. It was about 2 cups. And the capacity of the teachers was about 3 liters because they were greater, they were on a higher level. So when the students when they got 2 cups worth, they were full. They were illuminated because their stomach, their capacity was smaller. It's not really a stomach. We're just saying, let's say a little baby eats, they eat 2 ounces, they're full. An adult eats 2 ounces, they're still hungry. So the capacity of the student was filled, but that same 2 cups, that same illumination of telling over the story only got to a little part of the rabbis. So that's where they had to be notified. The students had to tell them. But then guess what? Once the students told them, and they were in tune with the fact that they illuminated their students, they became illuminated. In other words, when you reach out to someone else, you might say, why should I go teach someone else? I'm going to teach them. I could sit and learn. I could learn much higher things. Because what am I teaching these other people? Something I know already. I said I could expand my knowledge and learn something new. But when you teach somebody else and you illuminate them, then that turns around and comes back and fills you up. So once the rabbis were told that they illuminated the students, then they became fully illuminated. So in the beginning, right, they had this their big capacity, like I'm showing this water bottle, with this jug, this 3-liter jug was only lit up partially till here. But once they were in tune with the fact that they lit up their students, it became full till the top. And they were also feeling the light of the day, fully illuminated and ready to daven the morning prayer, to say the Shema in the morning. So it's a tremendous lesson to us. The lesson is that we should always go on and illuminate another person. That even if I feel like I could gain more by just broadening my own horizons and just learning more and advancing in my own knowledge, my own wisdom, obviously there's times for that. But when I illuminate someone else, Hashem gives me the gift of me reaching a higher level. So if I help someone with something that I'm already past and I'm not struggling with, it will still strengthen me on my level too. So when you help somebody else, you're really helping yourself. And Hashem makes it that you become illuminated on my level. My neshama, wherever it's at, is going to reach a higher level by me helping someone else and giving them knowledge and helping them in Torah and mitzvahs. So I'd like to leave the last minute in case anybody has any questions. You could feel free to unmute yourself and ask a question. Because I don't have any questions. No questions. Okay. So
thank you, Devoli. That was
so we're going to food for thought. Yes, no pun intended.
Right.
No pun intended when we spoke of the matzah, and that helps us with our faith, and that helps us with our health, and so definitely food for thought. So I'm just going to end off because the class is just about over, but I'm just going to end off that we should all have the strength to have the gifts and the tools that we spoke about in this class of having the faith in Hashem, having the health that we get from the matzah, being able to go out of our personal limitations, our personal boundaries, which will bring about the ultimate redemption, to be able to educate our children in the most loving, warm way where they feel that fire and excitement like we spoke about, and to be able to help others, which will then illuminate ourselves. So everybody, and we should be able to clean and prepare for Pesach with this warmth and this happiness. If I don't see you or speak to you before Pesach, because next week we're not having class, and then the 2 weeks afterwards we're breaking for Pesach, then I want everybody to have a kosher and happy, sweet Pesach. Have a wonderful day.